Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Just Adri. My name is Adriana. I am so glad you could join me today. Alright y'all, so this is the very first video of a new series. I would be recording this while a train is going by. But anyways, so today is the first video of a brand new series I'm doing on my channel. And what I'm basically doing is just reviewing old WWE storylines, and I'm giving you my reactions of the stories. So I've been like a wrestling fan since the late 90s. I think I started watching in 98. I took a break every now and then, but like, yeah, I've been pretty consistent up until recently. So for the very first story that I talk about while my channel is not monetized and I can get away with this at the moment, I'm going to tell you all the story of Kurt Angle, Booker T, and Sharmell. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you're in for a ride. So this is a story that absolutely could not be performed today because mad inappropriate. It's not funny, but it's like so cringe. You know when you see something so cringy that it's funny by default, but like the situation itself is not funny, but it's so cringy. It's like awkward laughter. That's how I feel. So before I tell this story, let me give a few trigger warnings for people who may need them. This story will contain descriptions of stalking, sexual harassment, attempted sexual assault, and like some inadvertent racism, I guess. Also, just so you know, all of the events that I'm going to say happen within the world of kayfabe. So basically, if you don't know wrestling, that basically means that everything is storyline. None of it was actually in reality. It's all just part of the story. I'm not sure if Booker T has gone on record saying that he hated it, but I know Kurt Angle has gone on record saying that he did not like the story at all, and this is all Vince McMahon's idea. And you know what? That checks out. If you know some of Vince McMahon's ideas, this absolutely 100% checks out, and I feel so bad for all three of them for having to go through this. But anyway, let's start with the story. Alright, so the storyline basically starts on the May 5th, 2005 episode of SmackDown. So Kurt Angle is mad that Booker T cost him a #1 contender slot for the WWE Championship. John Cena was champion at the time with his little spinning belt. So he confronts Sharmell backstage to demand a match against Booker T at the upcoming Judgment Day. Now, here we have our first problem. Why are you going to Sharmell to book a match instead of Teddy Long, who's general manager? Like, he's the one that makes the matches. Why are you messing with Sharmell? WWE logic, y'all. Let me tell you. So later in the episode, Kurt Angle has his Kurt Angle Invitational. That's when he would have an open challenge against local talents, quote unquote local talents, and whoever would beat him would win his 1996 Olympic gold medals. Now, side note, I don't know who this wrestler is, but if any of y'all know, put his name down in the comments. So after Kurt Angle beats this guy up, he gets on the mic and he calls out Booker T. So Booker T comes out with Sharmell and he's like, yeah, I'll accept your match at Judgment Day. And so Kurt Angle goes into the usual promo spiel, blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna break your ankle. I'm gonna beat you up. But then he says, oh, it's a shame that you'll have to go home to that gutter slide. Just out of nowhere, I'm like, why are you messing with Sharmell? She didn't even do nothing to you. So, okay, but still within the world of wrestling, this is pretty standard. This is like, as terrible as it is, pretty run of the mill. Talk about somebody's wife. I mean, that's just how it goes in the wrestling world. So after Kurt Angle calls Booker T's wife a gutter slut, of course Booker T is gonna come to the ring. So he charges the ring. Him and Kurt Angle get scrapping. One part of the fight, Booker T kind of holds Kurt Angle up, and that allows Sharmell to slap him and just beat him up in the I can't fight, but I can slap kind of way. But Kurt Angle eventually gets free and he overpowers Booker T and kind of subdues him. So while Booker T is down, Kurt Angle turns his sight on Sharmell, chases her up the ramp. she does that whole little Lifetime horror movie fall, like where the woman trips over nothing, but she has to do it to make the scene more interesting. So she does that, and while she's down, Kurt Angle tries to put the angle lock on her. But luckily for Sharmell, WWE officials and referees step in to pull Kurt Angle off, and they take him off and shoot him into the back. A little tasteless, but as far as we got, this is just a basic wrestling story so far. Like back in the early 2000s and the late 90s and whatnot, it's par for the course to do this kind of thing. So no problem so far. Pretty normal story. Alright, so then we go to the next episode of SmackDown. May 12th, 2005. And this is when things get a little, a little weird. Kurt Angle is giving an interview in the back with Josh Matthews. So Josh Matthews is like, hey, we saw you chase Sharmell up the ring last week. You were going to hurt her and put her in the angle lot. Like, what's up with you? What's up with doing that? Sharmell didn't do nothing. So Kurt Angle's like, acting incredulous, like, what? I never did such a thing. I never tried to hurt Sharmell. Are you insane? And then he says, I don't hurt women. I make them feel good. Then Kurt Angle says that he's attracted to Sharmell, and Booker T, I want to have sex with your wife, but oh no, not just any type of sex. He wants to have bestiality sex. I told you I wasn't lying when I told you the story was gonna get creepy. Now, a few things. I think what the writer intended to mean was to have bestial sex, which means more rough, savage type sex, but still not the best choice of words. No matter how you slice it, still terrible choice of words. But anyway, so that's what he says. So Booker T hears this. Understandably, he is pissed off. He's furious. So he tells Sharmell to stay in the back while he goes and has his match against Kurt. It's for the main event. So Booker T, hyped up, comes out, mollywops Kurt. Eventually, Kurt overpowers Booker T, and Booker T is down for a while, kind of like he was the previous week. So while Booker T is down, Kurt Angle takes this opportunity, and he runs backstage to find Sharmell. He kicks open the door to Booker T's locker room, and he's just menacingly staring at her, and Sharmell is screaming, saying, get out, get out, get out. Kurt Angle menacingly closes the door, and all you hear is Sharmell just screaming behind the door. So the audience members thinking, like, what the heck is going on? Is he doing something to her? So Booker T is coming to stop Kurt Angle to find Sharmell. Now, side note, he is running incredibly slow for Sharmell to be in danger. Like, I was watching, I was like, why are you running so slow? Your wife is getting attacked right now. Why are you running so slow? But anyway, so he runs backstage, opens the door. Sharmell is just crawled up in a ball, cowering, screaming. Then Kurt Angle comes off from so God knows where in the room, and he starts beating up Booker T. And then he just leaves. Another thing, when you're watching this scene, buku people outside the locker room. Sharmell is screaming. Kurt Angle's not in there. Everybody knows what's happening, and nobody comes in to stop it. Trifling trash. My God. So next SmackDown comes, and we see Booker T arguing with Teddy Long and fussing at Teddy Long because he's upset because there was no security or anybody else that was backstage to protect Sharmell when Kurt Angle broke into the locker room. So he said, you know what? Bet. Give me a match against Kurt tonight. I'm gonna mess him up. And Teddy's like, well, no, I can't really do that. And Booker T's like, why? And I guess Kurt's not there. Teddy's like, no, I can't give you a match against Kurt, but I can give you a match against Mark Jindrak. Booker T understood. He was like, Mark Jindrak. So Booker T upset about this. So Teddy Long says, you know what? Can't have a match against Kurt, but Kurt Angle is going to give y'all apology tonight. Otherwise, he's suspended indefinitely from the show. So Booker T accepts it, and he's like, fine, I'll fight Mark Jindrak. So right before his match, Mark Jindrak passes Sharmell in the back, and he says, Sharmell, I saw what happened, and I've known Kurt for a long time, and don't get upset with Kurt. He's always had an attraction for gutter sluts. What is that to say to somebody? But anyway, so Sharmell, of course, like, what are you talking about? So Booker T comes outside hearing the commotion. Sharmell tells him what he said, and of course Booker T beat him up. Yes, he did. He beat Mark Jindrak so bad that boy was cut open. I don't know if he bladed or if he got cut open for real, but yeah. After the match, Kurt Angle gets on the camera and he issues the most apology ever. Starts off well saying, hey, listen, I was mad. I went too far talking about Sharmell and messing with her. I should have never done that. I apologize. I'm so sorry. Then Kurt Angle's like, Sharmell, why don't you tell him what happened in that room last week and why you were screaming? Tell him that you were, I'm not gonna repeat everything he said, but basically he said that Sharmell was touching him inappropriately, to summarize it. This storyline has real big she was asking for energy. It really does. That's unfortunate, but it does. Finally, at Judgment Day, hopefully the feud will be over at this pay-per-view. So Sharmell and Booker T are backstage. Sharmell's getting Booker ready, saying, listen, I need you to beat up Kurt tonight. Put a stop to this. He's getting on my nerves. So while they're backstage, a WWE worker comes in with a Victoria's Secret bag. And so she opens the bag and it's a bunch of panties. And so she's like, oh, Booker, this is so sexy and all, but you need to focus on your match. Booker T's like, I did not send you no draws. Well, what is this? So she pulls out some handcuffs, and I didn't notice this until I was editing the video. But on the handcuffs, it has a little note that says gutter slut in like cursive, and I don't know why I find that so funny. But anyways, he sends her some handcuffs. So Booker T's like, oh no, I'm not dealing with this. I'm going to go find Kurt. So Booker T is going all backstage asking people like, hey, you seen Kurt? Tell Kurt Angle come holler at me when you see him. Where's Kurt? Another side note. Now, if your wife is getting harassed and stalked, why on God's green earth would you leave her alone backstage for the assailant to come and find her? Because that's exactly what happens. So Sharmell is just stressed out and she feels somebody rubbing her shoulders. Who is it? It's not Booker T, it's Kurt. Of course it is. So Kurt Angle harasses her basically and saying that he's gonna beat her husband up and afterwards he'll see her tonight. Oh God. Oh, sorry y'all. This story is so cringe. Does WWE have HR? Because this is a crime at this point. Like, where are the cops? They had the match. Booker T wins the match, of course. So Sharmell, after the match, is like, yay, Booker, yeah. So she comes to the ring. But old Kurt Angle Sour Grapes gets upset. So he starts beating Booker T up after the match. So while he gets Booker T down, as per usual, of course, he targets Sharmell. So he gets the handcuffs and he attempts to handcuff Sharmell to the rope. But Booker T wakes back up and ends up handcuffing Angle to the rope. So while he's all locked up, they beat him up and Sharmell beats him up with slaps and she ends up kicking him in the coconuts. All is well that ends well. We had a good time. Well, we did not have a good time, but you know, the storyline is over. The good guys won, and the moral of the story is keep your hands to yourself and don't sexually harass women. So we move on to the next story. Wrong. If you think this story was over, you are absolutely wrong. This story lasts 3 more weeks. Okay, so now we have the SmackDown after Judgment Day 2005. This SmackDown starts with Carlitos Cabana, and Teddy Long is the special guest. Teddy Long says that he's going to have a winner's choice battle royal in the main event, seeing as how some SmackDown stars will no longer be on the show in about 2 weeks. The winner of the match can face anybody they want in a wrestling match as long as the person they choose is on SmackDown. So then we got to Booker T and Charmel, who are giving a backstage interview, and they're celebrating how they got revenge on Kurt Angle. And Booker T states how he's looking forward to winning the Battle Royal because he wants to challenge for the title. So then Kurt Angle comes out for his Kurt Angle Invitational, this time with cops for some reason. And then he cuts a promo about, I was embarrassed by Booker T and Charmel at Judgment Day. And ECW sucks because at the time Vince was bringing back ECW as the third show. So he was going on about how much ECW is trash and he don't know why Vince brought it back. And so he's going to buy a bunch of tickets. Him and a bunch of other SmackDown folks going to crash the show. Yada, yada, yada. He tells Taz, asks Taz, hey, Taz, show is trash, right? And Taz is like, no. Get out my face. So again, it looks like we're moving on to another storyline, right? Oh, if only. So Kurt Angle beats up the local talent in the Invitational, and after that happens, we just go right into the Battle Royal. Battle Royal is basically the standard wrestling Battle Royal. You throw a man over the top rope. And this one is pretty much seamless. There are a few shenanigans with Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio, because at the time they were having their feud. But other than that, it's pretty standard Battle Royal. Kurt Angle ends up winning. So when he starts giving a hint who his opponent be, you're thinking, oh, John Cena, because when it makes sense, because this whole thing with Booker T and Charmel started because Booker T cost him a title shot against John Cena. Well, Kurt Angle does not pick John Cena. Kurt Angle says that the person he wants to fight is Charmel. And listen, I watched this a long time ago, but I rewatched it again on Peacock, and I watched this part just to see if the audience reaction was what I thought it was going to be, and it absolutely was. Just a big old groan, like, oh man, everybody's like, this story again. So yeah, Kurt Angle is gonna fight Charmel next week. Does that make sense? It does not, but let's go ahead on with the story. Booker T is going to Teddy Long saying, hey, I want this match canceled. Charmel is not a fighter. And Teddy Long's like, oh, I can't do nothing about it because I made a promise. But he says, oh, you can fight in the match with her if that is any consolation. So before the match, Kurt Angle comes out and cuts another promo on ECW and Taz. So the second week in a row we done had a ECW storyline, so that means we're about to move on any day now. So Booker T comes out, Charmel comes out. Charmel tries to not get in the ring, but the referee's like, no, you gotta get in the ring, stop playing. So she gets in the ring. So basically most of the match is Booker T and Kurt Angle fighting each other, but whenever Kurt gets Booker T down for enough time, he starts stalking and harassing Charmel. So after Kurt Angle actually gets Booker T down for a long time, he actually attacks Charmel. It's a quick little attack. like I said, by wrestling standards, it's not that bad. So he gets her down and he pins her for the 1, 2, 3. And after he pins her, he just stays on top of her for a while. It makes a licking of the lips motion, like he's gonna make out with her. Oh, this is so cringy, y'all. But before he can kiss her, Booker T smacks him, but Kurt Angle, of course, gets away. Booker T storms into Teddy Long's office and he's demanding another match with Kurt Angle for the next week. Now, listen, I know Raw and sometimes SmackDown nowadays seems like it's redundant, but my goodness, it seems like nothing has changed. Also, look at this picture of Vince McMahon just staring at them like he's like, yeah, this is my storyline. I made this magic. Alright, so we're on the June 9th, 2005 edition of SmackDown. And the show opens with Michael Cole saying that the match between Booker T and Kurt Angle is a matchup that's likely to be the culmination of this rivalry. And all I can think is, thank God. I am tired of the storyline at this point. It's not that good for it to be like over a month. This is a 6-week long storyline. It's not that good. But anyways, so we go to Kurt Angle, who's backstage giving yet another delusional promo. One of those, oh, she was asking for it type energy promos, saying that, oh, Charmel wanted to fight him last week because she wanted to touch him and she liked it when he pinned her and all that nonsense. And that when he beats Booker T, Charmel is going to come home to daddy. Oh my God. Kurt Angle and Booker T have yet another match. This particular match ends when Kurt Angle gets a chair. He tries to hit Booker T, but the chair bounces off the top rope and the Ricochet beats him in his own face. What a clown. Booker T takes that to his advantage and he gets the 1, 2, 3. There you go. The feud is over. Finally, this storyline is over. So after the match, Kurt Angle throws a whole tantrum and then he gets in his full feelings because then he goes to sit down by Taz because he's like, Taz, give me a response on coming with me at ECW. Taz don't say nothing, so Kurt Angle gets upset and he beats Taz. So there we go. Moving on to the next storyline with Kurt and Taz. And then a few days later on the following Raw, we definitely get a nail in the coffin of the storyline because Kurt Angle is drafted to Raw and he starts a feud with Triple H. So there you go. That is the storyline of when Kurt Angle stalked Booker T's wife. This story is infamous. Like, it's not as famous as some other storylines like Katie Vick. It's probably not as famous as that. But if you were watching wrestling at the time, you more than likely remember this storyline because it's infamously bad. And the reason why it's infamous is mainly because of that bestiality line. But the whole storyline just cringe, y'all. Like, I don't know if NBC is gonna let it stay up on Peacock, but it's on Peacock now. Like I said, it's between May 5th, 2005 to June 9th, 2005 SmackDown. So it's like a month worth of story, plus Judgment Day 2005. So it's a month worth of story. And if you are prepared to see some of the cringiest, inappropriate stuff that WWE has to offer, feel free to do it. There were a few worse storylines in Attitude Era, but this is pretty much up there with the worst of them. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you like this video, feel free to hit the like button. Also, if you want to see me tell more stories about WWE in the future, feel free to hit the subscribe button and notification bell. I post videos weekly for the most part. Sometimes I be missing in action, but I usually post videos weekly. All right, thank you again so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye bye.